It all began during a heavy snowstorm. An old man, Seo, coughs and tries to introduce where he came from, even though his body is clearly done with him. A kind village girl checks on Grandpa Seo and hands over some food from her mum, and he accepts it like it might be his last warm meal. Outside, the wind is nasty, and Grandpa Seo admits he has been trapped in this world for 50 whole years. He flashes back to a company trip with Mr. Kim and the others, right as a landslide smashes their SUV like a soda can. They wake up in a bizarre new world where giant spirit beasts exist, including a massive three-tailed fox and a two-headed snake that looks ready to eat the whole team. Worse, strange beings literally walk the skies, and Grandpa Seo realizes this is the kind of cultivation world he only read about in light novels. Everyone stares in awe at their new reality, but fate plays favorites and leaves Grandpa Seo as the only one with no special talent. While godlike cultivators notice his co-workers and whisk them away, even dragons show up as if this place is flexing on him for fun. In the end, only Grandpa Seo and Mr. Kim are left behind, and the dream of being chosen starts to feel like a bad joke. With zero powers and zero knowledge, the only way to survive is brutal hard labor, and months of that grind pass. Eventually, Mr. Kim gets sick of being a nobody and spends all his money on martial arts manuals, then somehow becomes a legit fighter in just 3 months. Mr. Kim keeps rising into the martial world, while Grandpa Seo stays stuck holding a shovel and watching his last connection walk away. Grandpa Seo clings to hope that something special will happen to him too, but the years roll on and nothing ever comes, which sounds familiar. Now he is old, sick, and coughing blood, barely able to whisper that he came from Earth. He explains how he survived alone by learning the language, working non-stop, and earning money by making soap in a world that treats it like rare treasure. Even that small win gets ruined when his soap recipe is stolen and thugs push him out of the market, because of course they do. Back in the snowstorm, he admits he is just waiting for death, wondering what he was even supposed to do with a life like this. Trembling and bleeding, he says he tried his best, then forces himself to accept the painful truth that he was never chosen. Still, he can't stop feeling robbed, thinking that with just a bit more talent or a few more chances, things could have been different. A sudden flash hits, and he gasps like the world just hit the reset button on his whole existence. Bright sky replaces the blizzard, and he wakes up on grass in his old office clothes, confused about why he is alive. The co-workers around him stir and panic, and Grandpa Seo's eyes go wide as he realizes something is seriously off. With the memories clicking into place, he figures out his hidden power was regression, meaning he got sent back to the start. A new cycle begins, and Mr. Kim freaks out while Grandpa Seo calmly confirms this is the very first day in this world again. Mr. Kim recalls the landslide and the light, while Grandpa Seo acts like an old man in a young body, saying his memory is fuzzy, but the facts are clear. As Grandpa Seo thinks about what to do with a second chance, a man named John storms up and grabs him, yelling his name like he owns the air. John slaps him hard for being out of it, and the others watch in shock like they just found the office bully. John keeps raging about the driving accident, and Grandpa Seo remembers how he used to apologize to this guy even when it wasn't really his fault. In his head, Grandpa Seo labels John as a jerk who only has power because of family connections back at the company. While others try to calm John down, Grandpa Seo stands up and admits he was half-conscious while driving, but there was a reason. He recalls how John dumped all his work on him the night before, then stares John down and points out John was supposed to drive today. John explodes again, but Grandpa Seo's memories fully return, including the moment he bowed and apologized like a trained doormat. He remembers 50 years of non-stop apologies, even when bandits beat him or a governor robbed him under fake taxes. Wiping blood from his mouth, he decides he will hold back no longer, gripping his knee as he locks in. Calling John out by name, he stays calm and says this is not the time for blaming, even if John is acting like a walking tantrum. John takes it as disrespect and swings, trying to start a fight on day one like he's speedrunning getting humbled. Grandpa Seo refuses to bow again, then flips the situation and drops John to the ground as the group freaks out. With John down, Grandpa Seo's thoughts flash to his past life where he was beaten countless times, and he uses that pain like fuel instead of chains. He follows up with a brutal punch that sends John flying, remembering every beating from bandits, robbers, and corrupt officials. Another heavy strike lands, and he realizes all that suffering gave him something the others never earned: control over violence. He turns John's face into an artwork more beautiful than Mona Lisa and ends the fight fast, knowing the longer a beating goes, the same pathetic words always come out. John finally breaks and starts apologizing through tears and blood, while Grandpa Seo reflects that he never had special talents or genius skills in either life. Even so, breathing steady, Grandpa Seo, now Seo, decides this time he will change his fate. Out in the grass, John is on the ground holding his head while Seo stands over him, and the others rush in trying to calm Seo down. With a long sigh, Seo admits he got carried away and gives a clean apology to everyone, trying to act like he didn't just scare the whole group. Bowing like it's a company meeting, Seo also apologizes as the driver and acts like he won't even have to face these people again anyway. Mr. Kim accepts the apology but still scolds Seo for going too far, basically telling him to make it right with John too. Keeping his face calm, Seo agrees with Mr. Kim, but you can tell his brain is already planning 10 steps ahead. In Seo's thoughts, he's convinced that once Mr. Kim learns martial arts, he'll be unstoppable, so sticking close to the right people now could pay off later. Staring with that sharp look, Seo decides he has to get on Mr. Kim's good side immediately. Seo turns back to John and offers a direct apology, even reaching out like he's trying to end the beef peacefully. John glares up with a busted nose and pure rage, looking like he wants to bite that hand instead of shaking it. Seo just watches him, totally unreadable, the kind of calm that makes you more nervous than shouting. John stays quiet and stiff, still seething, while Seo's hand hangs there awkwardly like a failed peace treaty. Switching gears, Mr. Kim suggests they focus on escaping the forest and finding a nearby village before things get worse. Seo agrees logically, but his eyes say he already knows logic is kind of useless in this place. When Mr. Kim points at something in the distance, even the tracksuit guy, Mr. O, hesitates, and Seo thinks to himself that common sense doesn't work here. A quick narration dump hits. In this world, cultivators chase immortality, martial artists fight for honor, and the weak get deleted, no refunds. The same brutal truth repeats in his head, like a warning sign flashing that this place is built on survival and violence. The group reaches a cliffside lake with a waterfall, and the place looks beautiful enough to bait you into forgetting you're trapped. A wide view shows endless mountains and emptiness, making it clear there's no town, no help, and no easy way out. As the sun starts dropping, Mr. Kim pushes for a safe spot and a fire, because getting eaten at night would be an awful first day. Thinking it through, Mr. Kim admits Seo's plan makes sense, which is rare praise in a situation this bad. They remember the SUV is loaded with supplies for the workshop, so finding it would basically mean comfort mode instead of cave life. Rather than argue, Seo suggests splitting up, letting the others waste energy searching while he stays efficient and in control. The plan becomes simple. One team finds a place to rest while the other looks for the car, then they regroup before night fully hits. Night falls hard, and a small fire glows in the dark. The fire crackles as Seo mutters that none of this makes sense, because reality isn't supposed to glitch this badly. Kang points out the car got swept away in a landslide, so being here with no car in sight feels straight up impossible. Around the fire, Mr. Kim admits he has no idea what's happening, but at least they found edible nuts and aren't starving yet. Seo casually offers more of the crunchy chestnuts, acting way too chill for someone stuck in this forest. Mr. Kim laughs and praises Seo for being diligent, like this is a team-building retreat instead of a survival nightmare. He even excuses Seo's earlier dozing as overwork exhaustion, while John lies in the back looking half dead and salty. Yeon joins in, smiling as she calls Seo diligent too, and the compliment pile-up starts like a harem is forming. Seo and Kang gush that thanks to Seo finding the cave, it feels like a camping trip, which is the most cursed optimism ever. Seo thinks about how, in his past life, it took hours to find this cave, but this time, he got lucky and found it fast. Someone jokes at him to stop being shy and show off, and the cave echoes with laughter like they forgot danger exists. Seo smiles to himself and decides to enjoy the moment, knowing this might be the last time they can laugh like normal people. Outside, the moon hangs bright in the night sky, calm and pretty, like it isn't watching a disaster unfold. Suddenly, Seo is sweating and trembling, forced to bow and pay respect to the Lord of the Forest like his life depends on it, because it really is. A massive white fox spirit appears with glowing red eyes, sniffing them out and mocking their strange scent, while Seo stays face down. Yeon rubs her eyes, confused at first, like she woke up in the wrong genre and doesn't know why everyone's acting weird. Then she and Mr. O see the monster and scream, panic spreading instantly through the group. Seo snaps into command mode, shouting for everyone to kneel and show respect right now before the fox turns them into snacks. The fox rages about humans being foolish and disrespectful, saying it normally would have torn them apart without hesitation. Leaning in close, it admits one of them finally understands proper respect, and it offers mercy with that predator smile. Mercy comes with a price though, as the fox demands a sacrifice. One arm from any one of them if they want to stay alive here. Seo trembles while remembering his past life, where everyone screamed and things ended in a massacre the moment this monster appeared. A grim flashback shows bodies shredded across the ground, proving the fox's threats aren't just scary talk. Back in the present, Seo realizes the fox is satisfied with their respect this time, but it still wants to know who will pay the price. Sweat dripping, Seo calculates that they only need to give one arm from one person, and that's still better than everyone dying. In his mind, he even thinks the cultivators they'll meet soon can fix a missing arm. Seo spots a strange root-like herb and remembers he already prepared something that can dull pain. Because of course he did. With everyone frozen in fear, Seo steps forward and offers his own arm, basically speedrunning the hero sacrifice route. The group stares in shock as the fox opens its mouth wide, praising Seo's respect and promising to make it as painless as possible. Seo screams as crimson sprays, the moment turning brutal in a blink, and nobody can even move to help. The fox lifts its head and swallows with a satisfied gulp, like it just finished a casual meal. Nearby, Yeon and Mr. O flinch and grimace, looking ready to pass out from fear and guilt. Seo crawls toward the herb, desperate, reaching like his life depends on it, because it literally does. Crying from pain, Seo bites into the herb and chews like a madman, forcing himself through it to stay conscious. The fox mocks him anyway, saying his taste is normal and his blood is bitter and dirty, which is such an extra roast for no reason. Breathing hard, Seo feels the pain easing from the herb and apologizes for the small offering, still keeping his manners even now. Turning away, the fox grants them 7 days in its territory and claims its supernatural power will keep Seo from dying. With a thunderous boom, the fox vanishes in a burst of force, leaving the forest shaking behind it. Mr. Kim and Yeon sprint towards Seo, screaming his name, finally moving now that the monster is gone. Bleeding and kneeling in the grass, Seo tells them to get back inside the cave first, promising he'll explain everything. As day breaks in the recap, Seo explains he went out and met that fox, and it told him the truth about this place. The group freaks out hearing it's the world of martial arts like the novels, because imagine getting isekai'd with zero consent. Seo sums it up coldly. They're safe for a week in exchange for his arm, and Mr. Kim panics asking what happens after that. Seo answers that after the weekends, they'll need a new sacrifice for the fox, meaning this isn't a one-time problem. As tension fades, Seo says he's getting drowsy and asks to sleep for a moment, like the guy didn't just get maimed today. Outside, a creepy glowing eye-like moon hangs in the sky, hinting the forest is watching them way too closely. Back inside, someone scolds John for talking trash, reminding him Seo sacrificed his arm to save everyone, and Seo sits there like a guilty wreck. Later, the others start praising Seo as competent and say they should learn everything they can from him while he's still around, which sounds helpful but also kinda sus. John mutters that Seo already lost an arm and won't last, so they should just offer him again next time. Seo stands in the shadows with a blank stare, bloodied sleeve hanging, and you can tell he heard enough to mark John for future consequences. Staring at the rock, he remembers his brutal past and how easy it would be to drop an average guy even with one arm. John keeps acting like he's in charge, waving his hands, while everyone watches the drama like it's a live stream. John's eye narrows as the scary thought pops up again, whether he should just end John right now. He exhales, sets the rock down, and forces himself to back off, choosing control over chaos. Walking alone, he decides John was just talking from fear, and being too violent could mess up getting help from Mr. Kim later. Seo then hears someone throws out a cold warning to John to shut it before he gets hurt for real. After a pause, he convinces himself the others aren't evil, just confused by this whole insane situation. Above them, the night sky hangs heavy and quiet, like the forest is waiting for the next disaster. By morning, the forest looks calm again, but everyone knows calm in this place is a lie. They face the two-headed snake, and Seo notes it isn't like the fox that ate his arm, since this thing only wants a quick blood snack. Mr. O, sweating buckets, tries to talk himself into offering just a little blood this time. The snake tastes his blood and instantly spits it out, basically roasting him for having the worst flavor. Seo explains the gross taste comes from modern junk in the blood, and Mr. O glares like he just got ratioed by a reptile. Seo tells John to come gather herbs instead of whining, and John acts offended like he's royalty. With his stomach growling, John finally agrees, and Seo offers to teach him which berries and herbs are safe. Getting right in his face, Seo admits he plans to offer his arm to the fox again soon, so someone else must learn survival in case he dies. John's mood flips fast, and he thanks Seo like he just got gifted a free pass in a death game. Seo brushes it off and coldly tells him the fox won't come, meaning this knowledge might never even matter. The bright sky hangs over them, almost mocking how hopeless their situation still is. Not long after, Seo snaps at John for picking the wrong berries again, sounding like a tired teacher with the worst student. John apologizes, and Seo warns him those berries can kill, because this forest does not do second chances. Or is it? Chaos breaks out as people scramble around the clearing, and John ends up on the ground, grabbing dropped fruit like it's precious gold. Breathing hard, he claims he needs a break from digging up herbs, acting like he's the one carrying the team. Seo remembers this lazy stunt from when John used to harass him at work, and he orders him to hurry before sunset. Deep in the greenery, they spot clusters of red berries hanging near a misty cliff. John yanks up a whole plant and freaks out when he sees a fat ginseng root, thinking he just hit the jackpot. Holding it up with shaking hands, he can't believe it's real, already imagining himself as the main character. Seo confirms it's ginseng, but points out it's the wrong kind, so John's hype is basically premature. Seo explains this ginseng grows huge here and isn't useful for cultivators, but it's valuable for martial artists and could help Mr. Kim too. He keeps the lesson going, making it clear this herb is still a big deal even if it's not what Eunhyeon wanted. By the end, the point lands. It's not a magic ticket, but it's still a serious resource for the right people. Eunhyeon spots more of the plants and asks to take them all. And Seo tells him to gather them carefully, even suggesting he use his clothes for protection. As sunset comes and the mountains rumble, John says it's time to head back, because night here is basically a death flag. The shockwave hits the group, people scream and drop, and panic spreads through the clearing in seconds. The impact keeps rolling, leaving everyone rattled and confused while the forest feels like it's shaking them off its back. Even after the first hit, the terror doesn't stop, and they're still yelling because nobody understands what's attacking them. 3 strangers float down from the sky, and the golden-robed one claims the treasures around here for himself, like he owns the whole map. The armored brute warns the golden guy not to act stupid, and you can tell these dudes are about to start a villain meeting. From above, the newcomers judge the group and say only 3 of them have spiritual roots, treating the rest like cardboard characters. The golden-robed man, Byoko, raises a crackling orb of lightning, smiling like he's about to show off his favorite trick. He fires lightning down, blasting John, and someone screams his name as the strike lights up the whole area. Byoko freaks out in excitement over John's rare body, but then the pale musician cuts in and pushes forward like he called dibs. A huge, shadowy slash crashes down, and Ms. Kang flinches as the musician reveals some ghostly power that makes the air feel rotten. The darkness keeps chewing up the ground as Kang screams in pain. And the musician. Eunhyeon looks way too happy about it, like this is his hobby. A heavy boot lands with a brutal thud, making the dirt jump as another presence steps into the fight. Sunwoo, the armored giant, grabs Mr. O with glowing blue force and laughs about seeing a legendary chaos body in real life. Close up, Sunwoo offers to take 3 of them into his sect, selling it like it's the deal of a lifetime. Under the pressure of their powers, Mr. O shakes and can barely breathe, convinced he'll be smashed into pieces if he refuses. Eunhyeon tries to recruit too, promising crazy secrets and immortality, while Sunwoo gets mad that he's even interfering. The pitch continues with huge promises of power and wealth, like they're handing out scam flyers, except the knives are real. The 3 cultivators bicker over who gets what, and a terrified office guy begs them for a way out of the forest before everyone dies. Someone pops open a fancy bottle, releasing a strange mist, like they're pulling out a tool from a totally different world. Byoko calls the mortals pathetic, then unleashes a blue wind-like force that slams a screaming man to the ground. Sunwoo notices Seo's missing arm and figures the fox took it, realizing Seo sacrificed it himself and finding that weirdly impressive. Seo struggles up with blue energy licking around his stump, and Sunwoo praises his backbone while Seo awkwardly thanks him. The cultivators start leaving, saying they cleared the monsters on the way and the path will be safe for years, like that helps the people they're abandoning. Mr. Kim runs after them shouting, desperate, asking what they're supposed to do when they don't even know the way out. High above, the 3 figures keep drifting away, ignoring the cries like it's background noise. More stars cut across the night, and Mr. Kim wonders if something is happening in that direction. The next day comes with rain and thunder, and the forest feels even more hostile, like it's trying to wash them away. Inside a cave, Hyeseo coughs and looks awful, clearly burning up with sickness. Yeon supports her and tells Seo that Ms. O's fever is dangerously high, asking if there's any herb that can help. Seo faces the cave wall and says they should wait, hoping someone returns to heal Ms. O, which is peak cope. The others turn toward the cave entrance as something outside catches their attention and the air shifts. Footsteps approach slowly, each step calm and heavy, like whoever it is knows nobody here can stop them. A shadowy figure speaks down on them, calling them mere mortals caught in a battle of mighty beings, basically flexing for no reason. Mr. Kim recoils and demands to know who the newcomer is, while Seo watches from behind with a guarded stare. A pale, smiling man introduces himself as the Sea Dragon King and drops the name Heul Seo like it's supposed to mean doom. In the muddy cave, Heul, the Sea Dragon King, calmly shows up and claims the unconscious woman is the source of the storm, while Seo and Mr. Kim look like they just walked into the wrong anime. Smiling, Heul wonders how a normal human could hold that much power, especially while knocked out cold. Keeping his cool through the pain, Seo demands answers and calls out how these so-called divine types keep trying to take people away. Heul laughs it off, the kind of laugh that screams, yep, this guy is trouble. Then he acts like his own timing is also perfect, basically flexing that this was never an accident. Leaning in close, Hyul reminds them they are just mortals and asks if they even understand where they are. He reveals a glowing pathway leading up to a heavenly gate, a road meant for climbing into higher realms. The shining path keeps stretching upward, making it clear this place is a real crossing point, not some random forest hike. Hyul points to a swirling space rift and says a gateway to heaven will open here soon, like a cosmic door on a timer. He explains this event is super rare, drawing powerful cultivators and beasts together like it is a once-in-a-millennium festival. Seo stays skeptical, while Mr. Kim nervously explains that other cultivators promised to take their co-workers into their sects. With a shaky finger, Mr. Kim asks the obvious question. How do you even force normal people to join those sects? Hyul answers like he is explaining math to kids, saying mortals just do not understand cultivator methods. To prove it, he pulls out a small bottle artifact and says it can shrink and store huge things inside. Holding the bottle up, he claims many cultivators store entire sects in artifacts so they can bring everything upward when the gate opens. Then he shows off by revealing he has a whole sea dragon castle stored inside, packed with a ridiculous number of sleeping dragons. Seo and Mr. Kim freeze in shock, realizing this guy is not bluffing, not even a little. Hyul pats the unconscious woman's head and starts thinking out loud about making her one of his kind. Mr. Kim panics and rushes forward to stop him, yelling for their co-worker like a desperate dad at a school fight. The moment Mr. Kim moves, an unseen force slams him down hard. He coughs and spits blood, his face twisting as he realizes he cannot even touch Hyul without getting wrecked. Hyul lifts the woman in his arms and announces he will give her his blood, acting like this is the kind option for everyone. With glowing eyes and a smug grin, Hyul warns them not to question a high-level cultivator because he is clearly allergic to respect. Seo tries to crawl forward anyway, grinding his teeth as the pressure crushes him like he is pinned under a truck. Hyul strolls closer and brags that only a few cultivators are as forgiving as him, which is the biggest villain lie ever. Walking away with Hyeseo, he says most cultivators would have crushed them for daring to ask anything at all. Outside, lightning tears through the clouds and the storm rumbles like the world is about to flip a table. A massive sea dragon rises through the rain, showing Hyul's castle story was not just talk. After the chaos, the sky suddenly turns bright and calm, like the storm never happened, which is honestly creepier. Back in the clearing, Kang breaks down asking what these cultivators and dragons even are, while Seo stands injured and Mr. Kim wheezes behind him. Trying to comfort her, Seo gently pats Kang's shoulder, but the vibe is still pure disaster. With watery eyes, Kang begs Seo not to get taken too, like he is her last safe person left. She admits she does not think she can survive alone in this forest, and that fear is not even overdramatic. Seo looks down at her, torn between staying strong and the fact that he has no plan either. Suddenly, Kang jolts as if something invisible punches her senses, and she screams in panic. The ground trembles around them, and Kang warns that something huge is coming, while Mr. Kim rushes closer in confusion. Birds burst into the sky as the forest itself shakes, like nature is trying to evacuate. Kang whispers that it is here, and the way she says it makes him sound like a horror movie extra. A crazed old cultivator arrives riding a mechanical lion beast, mocking them for being clueless mortals with no spiritual roots. From a distance, the old man cackles and explains the gateway caused a spatial storm, basically saying they got dragged here by bad luck. Floating down like he owns the place, the old man asks who spread that huge consciousness, sniffing out a powerful presence. Up close, his face lights up with greedy excitement, thinking an immortal might have come down, and he stares like a man who needs a timeout. Mr. Kim tries to explain they are just co-workers and begs for mercy, but the old man plants his cane like a judge, ready to sentence. Mr. Kim notices Seo's back is badly torn up, and Seo insists he is fine, even though his shirt says otherwise. The old cultivator grabs Kang's face and declares he will take her, promising to awaken her power, and definitely not through freaky methods. Kang trembles and cries out for Seo and Mr. Kim, terrified but still refusing to just disappear quietly. Annoyed, the old man questions why she clings to mortal ties after he offered protection, acting offended like he is the victim here. With a cruel gesture, he lifts Seo and Mr. Kim off the ground, choking them in the air like they are toys. Kang panics and begs him not to end them, saying she will do anything. Yeah, anything. The old man demands she cut all worldly connections, forcing her to agree while he watches for weakness like a vulture. He drops Seo and Mr. Kim back down, letting them hit the ground hard just to prove he can decide life and death. Then he charges power in his palm and decides to send them away, claiming it is to stop Kang from wavering. A glowing rift opens behind Seo and Mr. Kim, and the old man admits even he will not know where it throws them. As the portal sucks them in, Seo grabs the bundle of herbs, refusing to lose everything even while getting yeeted through space. Kang crawls toward the rift, screaming for Seo not to go, while the old man watches like this is entertainment. Seo and Mr. Kim crash into a noisy city alley, hearing merchants outside while they lie there like two dropped bags of laundry. Dazed, Seo opens his eyes and tries to figure out if he is alive or just dreaming in a new setting. Peeking out, he sees an old-style market street and realizes they are somewhere completely different from the modern world. The bustling crowd and traditional clothes confirm it, and Seo thinks this is not where they ended up in their last life either. A local man eyes them with disgust and assumes they are beggars, because of course, the first welcome is a roast. As they walk, Seo wonders if the portal worked exactly as promised, and the streets start to feel weirdly familiar to him. Seo finally recognizes the place and remembers living here before. Looking up at the towering pagoda, Seo realizes they are in Eunhyeon's capital, Seogyeong, and the real trouble is only starting. The story continues on a busy old-style city street, packed with people like it's festival day, but something feels off for our two lost guys. In a wrecked back alley, Mr. Kim admits he has no clue what's happening, and Seo sits there injured, agreeing this whole mess feels like a bad dream. Rubbing his head, Mr. Kim guesses they might be the only survivors and wonders if monsters were involved, while Seo goes quiet like he's already doing the math. Seo thinks back to how this isn't his first run at life, and last time he was just a weak herb picker, getting pushed around. Deciding they can't hide forever, they step out toward the main road, and the wide view shows a huge capital city that looks way too real. Walking into the crowd, they catch people whispering, and Mr. Kim worries the locals are talking about them because the language sounds sort of familiar but not quite. Seo casually explains the crowd is roasting their weird clothes, then grins and reassures Mr. Kim he can understand a bit, like a show-off who finally gets to flex. Mr. Kim feels relieved, but Seo points out the writing looks Chinese, while the spoken words are totally different, meaning they're not in any normal place. Remembering how he got mocked for months just to learn languages before, Seo decides they should first buy proper clothes and stop standing out like walking billboards. They head to a medicine shop, and the old herbal seller freaks out with joy when Seo shows a rare root like it's the holy grail of plants. Seo names it as insanely old ginseng worth a fortune, and even he has to swallow hard because this is more money than he ever touched in his last life. The shopkeeper promises to bring payment right away, and the scene pauses on the sky like the story is taking a deep breath before the next move. With the money secured, they end up in front of a big house, and Seo confidently declares this will be their home while promising to teach Mr. Kim how things work here. That confidence fades fast when Seo realizes they're nearly broke after bribes and buying property, and he starts rummaging through their stuff while Mr. Kim sweats behind him. Trying to get closer as partners, Mr. Kim suggests dropping the formal talk, and Seo replies politely before Mr. Kim finally gives his name like he's signing a friendship contract. Night falls over their new place, and Seo admits their cash only happened because he sold herbs from that dangerous forest. Looking at the remaining herbs, Seo warns they'll run out and need a real way to survive, while Mr. Kim suggests selling the rest to fund a small business. Seo agrees it's not a terrible plan since Mr. Kim has management experience, but in his head, he decides that playing safe isn't enough for a second life. Quietly, Seo remembers something huge. Manager Kim is actually a martial arts genius who became a master just by reading cheap street manuals. In the old timeline, Mr. Kim would eventually become the strongest fighter around, so Seo wonders what happens if he starts with high-level training from day one. Seo imagines creating a legendary swordsman decades early, and he admits he plans to stick close and squeeze every advantage out of Mr. Kim, because of course, he does. Seo says it's risky to do business without protection, so they should learn martial arts, and Mr. Kim panics since he thinks sects guard that stuff like top-secret homework answers. Seo smirks, knowing Mr. Kim is a huge wuxia nerd, then explains the city has 7 famous sects split into justice groups and evil groups, the classic good versus bad lineup. He breaks down the justice sects and then the 3 evil ones, warning the evil groups are shady and hard to track, basically the kind of people you don't want in your DMs. When Seo asks which sect sounds best, Mr. Kim instantly picks the demon-slaying sect, ranting that true heroes use swords and a real man should master the blade. Seo notes, Mr. Kim was also a blade master in the old life, and when Mr. Kim asks how Seo knows so much, Seo lies smoothly and says he overheard martial artists at the local office. After 3 months, they finally visit the demon-slaying sect, and Seo introduces Mr. Kim as his elder brother while asking to study martial arts there. A huge musclehead senior eyes them like they're suspicious, and an official politely judges they have some money, but Mr. Kim is too old to learn properly. Seo pulls out a shiny bribe with a sweet smile, and the view jumps wide to show the massive sect grounds, because money really does open doors everywhere. Inside, they're asked if they want self-defense, and Seo immediately says they want the best while snapping open a box stuffed with silver like he's doing a magic trick. The sect official agrees to accept someone as an outer disciple, but only one of them, and the price is brutal: a whole rare ginseng as the donation. Mr. Kim explodes in shock, but Seo thanks them and boldly announces Mr. Kim will join, leaving the poor old man looking betrayed, like he got voted off the team. The official tells them to report to the outer disciple hall, and Mr. Kim begs Seo to learn too, realizing they should have picked a cheaper place. Laughing it off, Seo claims he's not athletic and will just run a business to support Mr. Kim, and Mr. Kim, teary-eyed, agrees to try his best anyway. Mr. Kim worries his old body can't handle the stances, but Seo encourages him, and the view pulls back over the sect like a calm before the storm. 7 months later, a tournament is underway, and a furious high-ranking guy snaps his armrest in disbelief, sensing something has gone terribly wrong. The courtyard is filled with fallen disciples, and the sect realizes some nobody just wrecked all their precious students, shaking the whole demon-slaying sect to its core. The same scene hits again for emphasis, like the author is screaming, "Yeah, this is what happens when you power level an old man with monster talent." In the demon-slaying sector's arena, a lesson about real mastery turns into a real beating as one fighter reads the other's intent and smacks him down like it's nothing. Seeing the sect's guys get cocky, the outsider dances through their attacks and counters fast, making their so-called strong disciples look like extras in a filler episode. Back at the main hall, the sect's pride is on full display, until the outsider shows up and drops their top students all over the ground, embarrassing the whole clan. With rumors spreading, everyone learns Mr. Kim mastered the dragon-cutting blade in just months, and the leadership freaks out because that kind of growth shouldn't even be legal. Caught up in their wounded pride, the sect leaders rant that he's only an outer disciple and order him seized right away, acting like screaming makes them right. Not wasting a second, guards swarm the building while the story spreads that an outer disciple jumping to elder level has thrown the whole sect into chaos. While Mr. Kim gets detained as a suspected spy, Seo sits there confused, wondering how a regular guy who knew nothing about martial arts ended up in this mess. Inside the room, a guard jokes about how spy suspects usually get their meridians ruined, basically explaining the nightmare like it's casual small talk. Mr. Kim calmly agrees it's true, then smiles like a maniac and says he's already seeing the next wall to break through, because of course he is. Seo flinches as it clicks that after first rate comes master level, the kind of power that rivals sect leaders and shakes the whole region. With the talk turning to limits no one dares mention, Seo realizes his expectations were way off, and Mr. Kim's rise is happening decades too early. A week passes, and Mr. Kim sits in meditation as blue energy blooms around him, like the air itself is bowing to his breathing. As he exhales, the glow intensifies, and Seo stares at the 3 shining flowers forming overhead, recognizing it as a sign only true masters can show. With no fear at all, Mr. Kim declares he broke through and is beyond the sect leader now, while Seo can only praise him, half terrified and half amazed. Mr. Kim acts humble about it, saying even he's surprised, but footsteps thunder toward the room because the sect's goons are finally coming to do something stupid. A messenger storms in with an order to destroy Kim's core and sever his limbs, and Mr. Kim's face hardens like he's done playing nice. When Seo tries to explain they aren't spies, a hothead shuts him up with a strike to the face and orders them tied up, because logic is banned here. Before they can even blink, Mr. Kim grips his blade and slashes, cutting the attacker down mid-motion and turning the room into instant panic. Mr. Kim sighs that it's a shame, since this sect was his starting point, while another guard charges in rage like he thinks anger is a technique. In one flowing rush, Mr. Kim carves through multiple enemies, and the survivors trip over each other screaming that he's a master and they need to run. As the last of them flee, Mr. Kim tells Seo he'll seek training in other sects, and Seo, bloodied but loyal, decides to go with him. Mr. Kim tells him to head out first while he shakes off the elders, and then the scene shifts to towering mountains where their next path is waiting. On a high cliff, Mr. Kim waits with a blood-stained sword and teases Seo for being late, while Seo climbs up, out of breath but smiling. As the blade's red edge glints, Seo remembers how Mr. Kim once called out his violence, admitting this world forced them to change too much. Looking at a red gate in the rocks, Seo wishes he could go back to Earth instead of living like this, but he keeps moving because there's no other choice. With survival as the only rule, the story jumps ahead to Mr. Kim taking over the battling dragon stronghold, leaving bodies and bowed followers behind. Soon Mr. Kim is crowned the greatest martial artist and forms a whole alliance. And years later, Seo is close enough to call him brother, despite the age gap. Mr. Kim even makes a special sword art for Seo, handing over a manual and saying mastering it would make him a master-level fighter too. But the catch hits hard when Seo realizes the technique is first-rate and far beyond him, and he eats dirt in training like the ground is his real teacher. With a wooden staff on his shoulder, Mr. Kim coldly tells Seo the truth. He has zero talent, leaving Seo spiraling because it's painfully accurate. Even after personal training, Seo barely reaches third rate in a year, so he accepts it and leans into medical techniques instead, trying not to cry about it. Staring up at the huge towers of their world, he tells himself, everyone has strengths and time passes until the 10th year when he witnesses something unreal. Behind a doorway, he sees Mr. Kim meditating with glowing orbs, and he realizes this is the legendary state called 5G returning to the origin. Seo, turning older too, can only watch in awe. In a sudden flash, power explodes and cracks through the body like lightning under skin, as if the person is being rebuilt from the inside. Kim's form shatters and reshapes in a blazing burst, launching through the air in a storm of light while Seo can only watch in shock. Seo calls out Kim in disbelief, and a familiar voice laughs back, sounding way too calm for someone who just turned into a walking miracle. The light fades to reveal Mr. Kim with a fully reconstructed body, grinning like he's proud of his own glow-up and ready to flex on everyone next. In a quiet hall, Seo freaks out seeing his brother looking way younger, and the vibe is like someone just chugged lightning for breakfast. With a smug laugh, the older brother says body reconstruction is real, and that news would shock everyone. As the room sits half messy, they talk about handing over leadership, but nobody in the alliance seems good enough at real martial arts. Seo tries to play it off, saying his brother's standards are just too crazy high because his talent is basically unfair. Looking out over the training yard, the older brother admits he wishes even one worthy talent would show up among all these tryhards. Time skips hard, and the world keeps spinning long after that talk. Years later, a brush scratches across paper as Seo reflects on restarting life and how long the climb has been. Now old and tired, he wonders where Kim went and what he's doing out there. He recalls Kim retiring a year after his reconstruction and passing the Alliance leader role on like it was nothing. Even though Seo wanted to retire too, he stayed behind as the Alliance's fixer to calm the chaos. From far above the grounds, he remembers Kim choosing to wander everywhere, to the point he even missed the retirement ceremony. Walking alone outside his huge home, Seo sighs like a man who bought a palace and instantly regretted it. Staring at the peaceful buildings, he admits the place is way too big to live in alone, and the loneliness hits hard. A sudden rustle in the garden snaps him out of it, and he demands the hidden person show themselves. A ragged swordsman stumbles out like he just sprinted from a disaster, and Seo realizes it might actually be Kim. Up close, Kim looks beat up and dirty, and Seo scolds him for disappearing and missing the ceremony. Before he can even finish worrying, Kim collapses flat on the grass, making Seo panic even more. Lying there, Kim calls Seo by name and claims he truly believed he was blessed with martial arts talent. Kneeling beside him, Seo insists that if Kim isn't talented, then nobody is. Kim, still staring at the sky, says he's a genius among ordinary people, like his ego never took a single hit. Seo laughs at the word ordinary, then brings up the cultivators Kim fought, reminding him those weren't normal enemies. He keeps pressing the point, saying everyone knows Kim was the top martial artist, and the cultivators were the real nightmare. A grim flashback shows strange beings flying through the skies, looking less like humans and more like problems with legs. In the chaos, one of them snatches people away in a burst of light, and they are Kim and Seo's former colleagues. Back in the present, Seo's eyes widen as he realizes he almost forgot about those cultivators. The story explains how cultivators hid inside the Imperial Palace's shadows, pulling strings and controlling the country. As the martial arts sect alliance grew, the cultivators started interfering more, hovering over everything like a bad curse. Kim hated it, but opposing them meant opposing the whole nation, so he had to swallow it for the alliance's sake. In the end, he stepped down his head and went hunting cultivators across the land on his own. From the grass, Kim admits those cultivators were insanely hard to find, and even harder to fight properly. When he did find one, they treated him like a joke, then vanished with tricks and flight until he finally forced a real fight 5 years ago. Seo asks if he won, and Kim casually says yes, like he's talking about winning a coin toss. Seo laughs bitterly, saying if Kim had done that back when he led the alliance, everyone would have been speechless. Kim's face tightens as he describes risking his life against a cultivator at a higher realm, only leaving a tiny scratch. Seo reacts in shock, because that kind of power gap is just rude. A shadowy memory shows the cultivator smiling in firelight, claiming it still counted as Kim's victory since he managed to touch him. Sitting up, Seo wonders if that opponent was one of the top 10 strongest, trying to make sense of the madness. Kim says no, explaining the guy claimed to be near the bottom of his world, which would equal a second-rate martial artist here. Seo freezes, calling it ridiculous, because the math is basically insult on top of insult. He remembers always knowing cultivators were monsters, even while believing Kim's martial arts were close to heaven. A flashback shows Kim literally fighting in the sky, slicing through buildings like they were paper props. Even with that insane talent, the thought that he only scratched a low-level cultivator hits Seo like a gut punch. Kim admits he was a big fish in a small pond, and that mortals can't stand against cultivators because they're like natural disasters. Seo goes silent, sweating as the reality sinks in. Kim grips his clothes, saying despite everything, today something changed. He reveals he managed to cut off a cultivator's hand, showing blood on his own palm as proof. Seo starts to think Kim surpassed them, but Kim shuts it down, saying they just regrow limbs with a talisman. Kim stands with his sword, saying his martial path ends here and that he came to say goodbye to Seo. With an awkward chuckle, he says the cultivator was impressed by his resolve and offered to bring him into their sect as the youngest. Seo worries because Kim has no spiritual roots, meaning he shouldn't be able to chase their so-called immortality. A blazing image explains that a mortal who mastered a deep return to origin state is like someone born with a powerful 5-element root. Kim says mortals spend a whole life just to reach what cultivators get at birth, which is straight up unfair genetics. A dark, starry portal swirls around the sword, like the sky itself is tearing open. Kim steps into the strange rift, saying he's leaving to aim for higher levels beyond the mortal world. Before vanishing, he hands Seo a final gift, a scroll-like book, and tells him farewell. Seo reaches out, calling for his brother, but the portal closes and the air turns empty again. Holding the book, he reads the title about surpassing cultivators and realizes this must have been Kim's mission all along. Seo whispers Kim's name, asking where he went and why he left his younger brother behind. Time passes again, like the story refuses to let anyone rest. Now older and sick, Seo coughs and calls it ironic, like fate is laughing in his face. He admits it's been 50 years since returning to life, and he's dying of the same cold that ended him before. Lying in bed, he says humans can't escape fate, and even with a new house in bed, the ending stayed the same. He remembers integrating all martial arts sects and gaining wealth and honor, yet none of it fills the hole inside. Tears well as he asks why he still feels regret, wondering if more struggle could have let him and Kim reach heaven. With blood on his lips and teeth clenched, Seo feels powerless rage and bitter regret, and that fury becomes the spark that begins his second regression. The moment his eyes open, he realizes the cycle has restarted again. Even worse, he can tell this isn't his first redo anymore. Looking around, he recognizes that same forest tied to the pathway to ascension, the place that always drags him back like a bad habit. The calm view is fake peaceful, because he knows what this place leads to. Checking his body, he feels full of energy and way too alive, which only confirms the regression is real. Instead of feeling lucky, he already looks annoyed because this power is a trap. Before he can even think, John comes charging in, screaming like he got NTR'd. He swings with 0 brain cells and maximum anger. With a clean move, Seo dodges the hit and John's face instantly turns into shocked Pikachu mode. The guy clearly expected an easy beatdown. Seo slips past another swing and keeps calm, even while thinking about why he was forced to come back again. Taking off at a sprint, Seo admits a new body is nice, but a new chance doesn't feel like a gift to him. His mind jumps to everything he built over decades in the other life. All of it erased like a save file got deleted. John keeps yelling that Seo almost got everyone sent to the afterlife, acting like blame will magically fix the situation. Seo casually shuts John down, making it clear he isn't happy about regression at all. Even while controlling the fight, he's thinking this whole thing is a curse. Staring ahead with cold eyes, Seo calls the regression a curse that strips meaning from his entire life. John keeps ranting, but Seo's thoughts go darker, wondering what happens if the loop never stops. 1 or 2 do-overs is fine, but endless retries are pure suffering. He imagines himself trapped in a grim fate, stuck on a wheel of endless life and pain. His thoughts drift to his past life's world and the people he'll never see again, no matter how much he regresses. That loss makes the new timeline feel hollow. When he looks at the group now, he realizes these people only resemble the ones he knew before, but they aren't truly the same. Seeing Mr. Kim calm John down, Seo remembers that the real Kim who shared everything with him is gone from this world now. Seo stays composed and tells the group getting angry is useless, even roasting John for being the one who was supposed to drive. Basically, John messed up and wants everyone else to pay for it. Seo lays out the facts to John. He worked late because of him, got forced to drive anyway, and the landslide wasn't something you can just sidestep. John gets quiet, because logic is his natural enemy. Turning away, Seo tells them to stop blaming and start planning, since survival is the only thing that matters right now. John hunches over, still mad but finally stuck. John glares in silence, panting like he ran a marathon just to lose an argument. For once, he doesn't have a comeback. Mr. Kim awkwardly switches to polite mode and tells Seo it's getting late, so he'll look for a place to stay. Seo sends the others off to search for the car or a way out of the forest, splitting tasks like a real leader. The group listens because nobody else has a better plan. Seo decides to start a fire and tells them to come back when the sun sets, while his mind wonders if opening up to people even matters anymore. He's already thinking about ending up alone again. Night falls under a quiet moon, and the loneliness hits him like a weight. He can't shake the fear that every bond he forms will just get erased again. In the dark, the orange glow of firelight flickers against the rocks, making a small, safe spot in a huge, dangerous forest. It's peaceful, but only on the surface. Everyone ends up sleeping around the fire inside a cave, sprawled out like a wiped party after a bad trip. Even in rest, it feels like they're hiding from something bigger. Lying awake, Seo admits he's terrified of the endless cycle, and he decides he has to get rid of this infinite regression ability. This isn't a power fantasy for him, it's a prison sentence. He wonders if returning to Earth could make the regression vanish, since it always pulls him back to this same spot on the pathway. The problem is, he has no clue how to go back. Then he remembers what the Mad Lord once said about the gateway to heaven causing a spatial storm that can drag mortals in. That clue snaps into place, and Seo realizes the gate is the key. Sitting up, he decides the gateway must be tied to why they ended up here, and it might also be the exit back to Earth. For once, he has a direction instead of despair. Clenching his fist, Seo admits he needs real power to reach that gate and survive whatever guards it. As a normal mortal, he can't do anything worth a damn. Taking a step, he decides the only way forward is becoming a cultivator like Kim was. He reasons that with a longer life and special abilities, he can research the gateway enough to control it. Basically, he wants to outsmart the loop by outlasting it. Under the night sky, Seo makes his vow to become a cultivator and reach the gateway to heaven. Morning comes with birds chirping, like the forest is pretending nothing weird is happening here. Seo doesn't buy the cute soundtrack for 1 second. Out of nowhere, he's chewing something gritty and, yeah, it's ginseng like it's a snack. Desperate times really do turn people into herb goblins. Holding the yellow ginseng up, Seo feels a strong current of energy gathering inside him. He can finally sense it, which means cultivation is actually possible now. He recalls that in his past life, the ginseng did nothing because he lacked inner energy techniques. But this time, he has Kim's method in his head. With the right control, the herb becomes fuel. Sitting down to focus, Seo channels the energy and starts opening the blocked pathways in his body. Inside him, his heart pounds hard as the energy surges, pushing his body to adapt. Sweating, Seo admits this isn't easy because his body is worn out from overwork and junk food from his old life. Even so, he refuses to quit, because quitting just means more loops. A wide view of the mountains reminds us they're trapped far from anything normal, in a place that feels ancient and wild. The world is huge, and they are very small. On the ground, wood chips and scratches show someone's been training hard, hacking at the earth like a determined maniac. Using a rock and a stick, Seo keeps scraping and shaping a wooden sword, working it down like he's making a survival tool. Testing the finished wooden blade, he taps it and decides it'll do. When you're stuck in a death forest, you don't get picky. Seo starts practicing sword swings and footwork, repeating the motion until it looks smooth and sharp. The guy is literally speed-running his comeback arc with a +99 refined wooden stick. His eyes narrow as he remembers he used to be average and got rusty before he died last time. This time, he's not letting his skills rot again. Facing a thick tree, he sets up like he's about to prove something, and the quiet moment feels like the calm before a flex. Even the forest looks like it's holding its breath. With one fierce swing, Seo unleashes a mountain-cutting sword technique using that wooden sword. It's the kind of move that makes you question reality, because no normal guy should do that. The tree splits cleanly, and the cut looks unreal, like it got sliced by wind itself. Seo's theory is working, and his power is growing fast. Mr. Kim rushes over, calling out in panic, shocked by what he just witnessed. Even from a distance, you can tell his brain is buffering. Running closer, Mr. Kim demands to know how a wooden sword did that and where the power came from. Seo casually leans on the tree like this is normal, then thinks he's found the perfect instructor to help him cultivate. Grinning, Seo asks Mr. Kim if he wants to learn the skill, like he's offering a free trial to a very dangerous hobby. Mr. Kim brightens up and eagerly agrees, falling for it instantly. Congrats, sir, you just signed up for chaos without reading the terms. Suddenly, a heavy presence crashes in, mocking the humans as the Lord of the Forest shows itself and makes the air feel deadly. The beast's threat hangs over them again, making it clear this forest has a ruler and it doesn't care about their plans. With the monster's power pressing down, the moment turns from training session to survival test. Seo stays steady, but the danger level just jumped hard. Mr. Kim stands behind Seo, gulping in fear, while Seo stares forward like he's already calculating how to kill a boss with a wooden sword. Seo's face says he remembers this problem, and he's mad he forgot it for even a minute. Blood splashes across the leaves, and something vicious chomps down like it's snapping bones for fun. Barely staying calm, Seo presses his acupoints to numb the pain while his arm keeps getting blasted like cheap jerky. As he steps forward, the team freaks out, and the red-eyed fox watches him like it's judging a snack choice. In his head, Seo recalls his second life plan to become a real cultivator, yet even after ages of training, he only scraped the bottom. Even while admitting he's outclassed, he still gets his arm ripped open and the others scream his name in pure panic. Gritting through it, he steadies his shaking hand and swears he won't give up no matter how long it takes. The fox, acting all high and mighty, praises his manners and leans in to taste the offering, basically his arm. After taking its fill, the fox finally leaves and grants them permission to stay, so Seo immediately starts practicing alone in the woods like a man possessed. Later, 3 cultivators show up, heal him, then kidnap his co-workers, and Seo responds by swinging his wooden sword non-stop through the night. On the 4th day, he stops, kneels, and formally asks the Sea Dragon King for answers, and Hyul calmly allows him to speak. Seeing Hyul holding Hyeso like baggage, Seo demands to know why she's being taken, and Hyul smugly says his blood will awaken her spiritual roots. Seo tries to negotiate a chance for the others too, but Hyul only laughs and tells the mortal to listen up. With a casual show of pressure, Hyul drops Seo to the ground and lectures him about how a high cultivator doesn't need to tolerate mortal opinions. Hyul's green eye glints as he warns that some cultivators crush people for less than eye contact, and the sky answers with a nasty rumble. Mr. Kim looks up in shock as a dragon-like shape moves in the storm. Then the scene snaps back to a bright, normal sky like nothing happened. Seo bows to the Mad Lord and asks how Ms. Yeon could become a disciple without roots. Then he grins and shows an elixir that can awaken spiritual veins. Seo realizes there's another path to cultivation, while the Mad Lord creeps in close and says the martial arts only route works but takes way too long. With a wave of power, the Mad Lord blasts Seo and Mr. Kim away like they're stray leaves, and Yeon crawls forward begging him to stop. Seo blinks mid-flight, then wakes up dangling over a tree branch like some defeated NPC tossed for storage. After taking in the view of Yeon's southwest region, Seo remembers spending his last life traveling all over with Kim. Mr. Kim stirs awake as Seo tells him to get up, and the peaceful sky almost feels insulting after all that chaos. Seo explains everything while guiding Mr. Kim to the nearest province. And a few days later, they reach Hobyok and buy a house by selling rare herbs. Settled in, Seo teaches Mr. Kim the language, writing, and a blade technique from his past, but he still looks disappointed by how weak he is. Mr. Kim starts flexing and thinks he can beat Seo now, and Seo just smirks because the real Kim would never act this clownish. Watching the celebration, Seo notes Mr. Kim is mentally younger than him by a mile, then decides to leave him behind and hands over the record book for going beyond martial arts. Mr. Kim panics and asks what he did wrong, and Seo's eyes tighten as he wonders why this parting still stings. He recalls the first cycle where Kim was undefeated and led the Sect Alliance. Then, after one loss, he fell into despair and created that very record to challenge cultivators. The memory turns grim as dozens of cultivators once crushed them with sheer power. And back in the present, Seo tells Mr. Kim he must travel alone to grow. Trying to be kind, Seo says Mr. Kim will be fine with what he learned. But Mr. Kim admits Seo is his last companion from Earth and he doesn't want to lose him. With a tired sigh, Seo offers a deal to meet at this house every 2 years, then persuades the still worried Mr. Kim and finally leaves. Under open skies, Seo heads out until a loud guard from the 8 Hills sect stops him at the gate like he owns the whole street. Keeping it polite, Seo says he came to request a duel, and the red-robed brute laughs while the crowd murmurs like they're ready for free drama. When the big guy swings his heavy weapon, Seo calmly draws and blocks, snapping the blade like it was made of bargain bin metal. Standing in the courtyard with his sword ready, Eunhyeon looks down on them and makes it clear he's done being treated like a nobody. A calm attendant leads the visitor inside, saying the sect master has been waiting, like this is some planned audition. With quiet steps, Seo follows her through the long wooden hallway, already feeling the pressure. Once he reaches the arena, the whole place hits him at once, and you can tell this is not a friendly sparring club. The disciples lock the air down with forced silence, watching like paid chatters who got told to stare harder. The sect leader finally shows up, acting amused that a famous fighter is this young, but his grin is doing too much. Eunhyeon Seo introduces himself politely and even compliments the man's presence, keeping it respectful for now. Staying cool, he asks to be guided in a duel, basically inviting the lesson with a straight face. Instead of more talk, the leader snaps out a 9-piece chain whip loud enough to tell everyone this is real. Not wasting time, the leader takes the first move, while Seo shifts into a ready stance with his sword. The chain whip blasts forward like a bullet, and the leader charges in like he's trying to end it fast. The segmented weapon whips around with sharp arcs, forcing Seo to track the blade tip flying at him. Again, the chain snaps in, showing the leader is testing reactions, not aiming for a clean win yet. Caught at the last moment, Seo blocks the chain's blade with his sword, a move that makes the air freeze. The stands explode in shock because blocking that weapon with a sword is the kind of flex people only talk about. The leader praises Seo's counter speed and admits his sword control is top class, but still keeps swinging. Laughing it off, the leader calls him a genius, but the way he says it sounds like he's annoyed too. Eunhyeon smirks at the word genius, like he knows that title doesn't really fit his situation. Around them, the disciples whisper, while the narration makes it clear this growth is not normal for someone his age. Instead of taking the praise, Eunhyeon downplays himself, saying he's just ordinary and untalented, which is total cap. Inside his head, he admits the truth. Regression is the reason he can stand here at all, and he plans to use it fully. With a decision made, he declares he'll start using sword aura, while the leader answers with the energy of a tryhard. Seo launches the mountain-cutting sword technique, leaping in with the first stance like a clean opening strike. The leader twists away, but you can see he's already on the back foot from the speed and pressure. Seo chains into the next stances without pause, cutting angles and crashing still like he's rewriting the lesson plan mid-fight. The technique keeps flowing, and the leader's defense starts to look less confident with every clash. Now the leader's eyes flare with power as he forces more aura into the chain, trying to match the rising wave. Blades and aura arcs collide in sweeping curves, turning the arena into a storm of metal and shockwaves. Straining, the leader realizes he can't find a clean opening because Seo's sword forms keep stacking. Seo slips in close during the chaos, and the leader eats a heavy hit that knocks him off balance hard. From above, Seo dives with a later stance. The leader panics as the strike tears through, and Crimson flicks out, proving the gap just got real. The disciples freak out, realizing their master is getting overwhelmed, and the sword is only getting faster. Seo lands the 11th stance, smashing the arena floor and sending the leader flying as cracks spread like spiderwebs. Someone in the crowd points out the scary part. It's not just speed, the power is climbing too. Another brutal clash hits, and the leader barely holds up the chain weapon against the pressure. Gritting his teeth, the leader forces the chain into position, but the strain is written all over his face. Seo stares him down and decides it's time to end this, like he's done playing warm-up. He launches the 12th stance, rising into the sky with a shining aura trail that screams finishing blow. In the next moment, Seo unleashes the finishing blow as he releases a flurry of slices. The strike drops, the chain weapon snaps apart, and the disciples watch their master get crushed by sheer technique. The impact keeps echoing as the broken segments fall, and the leader's expression says he finally understands the difference. With his weapon ruined and his body wrecked, the leader admits defeat like his pride got deleted in one swing. Seo bows politely, acting classy after the beatdown, which somehow makes it feel even colder. The arena goes dead silent while Seo aura farms, leaving a cracked stage and a humbled sect behind. Outside, the air fills with whispers, like the whole sect is trying to process what they just saw. He strolls through the courtyard as people stare, and he notes the duel was clean. No tricks, no cheap shots. Looking back at the sect's reputation, he respects that they stay righteous, then casually decides he should visit an evil sect too. With calm determination, he promises himself he'll reach the master level through this journey of duels. The scene shifts to the mountains again, showing this road is going to be long, lonely, and full of fights. Time passes as he challenges more sects, taking losses and wins like checkpoints, steadily sharpening his edge. At last he arrives at the Contending Masters sect, a place that looks way too proud for its own good. Inside, he cuts down a purple-robed fighter so fast the guy can barely scream before getting launched. The loser crashes across the floor in front of an older man sitting calmly, like the real trouble was waiting in the chair. The purple-robed dude trembles on the ground, realizing he just got used as an example. The old master laughs and calls Seo the young first-rate fighter who's been challenging everyone, sounding entertained. Seo bows and admits he's still learning, but the room's vibe says this sect isn't here to play fair. A squad of tough elders marches out together, and the old man announces it's time for all 10 to step in at once. Seo is confused because fighting 10 in a row is wild, and he starts realizing this is how evil sects do business. The old master grins like a troll, basically confirming this is exactly what's happening. Feeling insulted, Seo threatens their honor, making it clear he won't accept getting toyed with. One elder steps forward and coldly claims it doesn't matter, even hinting Seo will get hurt and die later from infection. The old master adds they'll pretend they cared for him, then still let him die, like this is some evil PR strategy. With the elders surrounding him and weapons drawn, the old man laughs and says only a lifeless man could complain afterward. Seo realizes these people are way more unhinged than he expected, and the danger is finally honest. Still smiling, he decides that facing many enemies is exactly why he came, because of course, this man is built different. Raising his sword, Seo accepts the ridiculous duel and tells them to come, sounding way too calm for this setup. The elders rush in from all sides, and the real battle kicks off with Seo ready to carve a path through the swarm. Blades close in like a trap snapping shut, but the way he grips his sword says he's about to turn their numbers into a joke. Staring into the dark, Seo admits these sect guys are way more unhinged than he expected. Inside the hall, the bald crew surrounds him with blades while their leader sits back like this is dinner theater. Instead of backing down, Seo grins and makes it clear he came for the full crowd. The moment the mob rushes in from every angle, the real fight finally starts. Night falls over the city, and somewhere inside, people are about to learn why you don't jump one guy with a sword. At a lively inn, laughter and gossip fill the air as everyone talks big. One loudmouth starts spreading news about a young martial artist picking a fight with that outlaw sect. Another guy acts shocked and calls it a tragedy already, like he's writing the obituary early. An older man sips his drink and rambles about how the young always believe the world is in their hands. The room keeps buzzing as they blame Pride and swear the kid is probably dead in a ditch by now. Heavy footsteps approach, and you can tell whoever is coming isn't here for a bedtime story. A waiter tries to greet the newcomer, then freezes when he realizes something is very wrong. Seo walks in soaked in red, casually ordering noodles like he'd just finished a jog. The whole inn goes dead silent, and the waiter awkwardly guides him to a seat before fainting inside his soul. As Seo passes their table, the gossipers stare like they just saw a ghost clock in for dinner. In his head, Seo curses those B words, remembering how close he came to dying. He recalls it wasn't just a numbers game either, since the cowards even used poison on their weapons. Looking back at the mess he left behind, he admits only his antidotes and stimulants kept him alive. The worst part was that old man in charge screaming for his death like it was a hobby. Then the last disciples charged in with spears and arrows, still thinking bravery beats skill. To survive, Seo fought like a beast and carved through them in a storm of steel. Back in the inn, he slurps noodles while the tough guys nearby pretend they aren't terrified. In the aftermath, he even ended the leader and crippled survivors so revenge wouldn't follow him later. Finishing the bowl, his chopsticks clatter and he acts like that was just step one. With the stimulant still messing with his body, he realizes sleep won't be happening for days anyway. He tightens his grip on the sword and decides the next target will be another justice sect, because balance is for normal people. Seo calmly walks out, leaving the stunned diners to process the fact they just mocked the wrong guy. By morning, the city is in full uproar, and everyone is talking about the weird martial artist who ate noodles and went right back to dueling. The rumors spread with flashy stories of his fights, and people start giving him a title that fits too well. That name sticks hard, Seo, the ghost of endless fighting. Even with the nickname, he stays humble in the most painful way, saying he has no talent for the height he's chasing. So he forces himself into non-stop battles, pushing to the edge of life and death as the only path forward. He decides an ordinary man can only close the gap through pure obsession and tireless training, no shortcuts. Years pass with him traveling region to region, dueling both righteous and evil sects like it's his daily routine. 5 years later, a massive blast shakes a mountain sect because peace was never on the schedule. Seo launches into a mountain-cutting sword technique, rising like a rocket with insane force. A blade hums with power, and the lesson is clear. Spirit high, mind clear, or you get folded. Seo strains under a thin thread of sword aura, realizing even showing it for a moment fries his focus. Still, he clenches his teeth and refuses to stop, because he's chasing someone far ahead of him. A dark-robed opponent dives from above, and their weapons crash with a brutal impact that shakes the ground. The clash repeats in a blur of motion, like the sky itself is throwing hands. Again, the strike detonates, proving this isn't a sparring match, it's a demolition job. Seo gets blasted into rubble, admitting that one hit shattered his sword aura completely. From within the dust, the opponent mocks him for not living up to the hype, basically speed-running disrespect. The man steps out smiling and reveals himself as Eunhyeon Kim, the so-called greatest martial artist. Crushed in the debris, Seo gets a cold congratulations, and it stings because it's true. Kim notes Seo improved since last year, then casually flexes a freaky body reconstruction like it's normal. Seo's hand trembles around his sword, wondering what he's even been doing if he's still stuck at first rate. Kim's calm face says it all. Talent brings misery, and Seo knows it because he's drowning in it. At a quiet sect building, Kim asks why Seo showed up early when they usually meet yearly. Standing among the ruins, Seo says he learned something after reaching a higher stage and visiting the great sects. Kim declares nobody in Eunhyeon can last more than one exchange with him, like the king of humblebrag. Seo listens with crossed arms as Kim suggests starting a new sect or organization. Kim offers Seo a spot under his name, but Seo shuts it down, saying he prefers things as they are. Kim tries to persuade him anyway, promising closer guidance once the alliance forms. Seo refuses for good, saying he's already learned enough from Kim across past lives. Grabbing his sword tight, Seo chooses the hard road. Real-world experience through endless real fights. He remembers Kim once told him that after peaking at first rate, only countless true battles would push him higher. So this time, Seo decides to support Kim from far away, not as a follower, but as his own man. With that choice made, Seo walks off and resumes his journey of endless duels, like a man allergic to rest. Then 20 years pass, and the world keeps turning, while Seo keeps paying the price for his path. In the rain, Kim visits and says Seo looks pale, and the mood screams trouble. Now older and worn down, Seo finally realizes the cruel truth. He was cursed to live without talent, no matter how hard he fought. Inside the hall, the greatest martial artist basically roasts Seo for training non-stop and still not reaching master level. While Seo admits his sword aura understanding is solid, but he still can't last long against true masters. Kim finds it weird, and he points out that even though Seo is closer to becoming one with the sword, something is still missing for him to cross the line. With a smug little grin, Seo starts thinking this struggle proves his talent. But reality hits and blood slips from his nose like his body is yelling, "Stop coping." Gritting through the pain, he says his current limit is only half a day of keeping sword aura up, and Kim calmly wishes him luck while handing him a thick book. Opening it, Kim explains it's notes he got from barely surviving a G purification cultivator, and the book lays out that this record is an advanced guide for going beyond normal martial arts. As thunder rumbles, Kim warns that a G purification cultivator is basically a walking natural disaster, then promises to store the record safely for the future and thanks Seo. Standing in the rain outside, Kim says he'll go hunt for another cultivator, and he drops one last tip for reaching master level. Stay aware of everything around you, always. Seo repeats it back like it's some deep riddle, and the advice gets clearer. During fights, you already read the space, so keep that awareness even when you're not fighting. Seo panics because sword aura already gives him headaches, and now he's supposed to track his surroundings too, but he decides to trust the old man since the guy is the goat for a reason. From that day on, he forces himself to take in every detail and remember what belongs where, even while moving through crowded streets like his brain is a messy storage room. Step by step, he keeps practicing until the scenery changes to open forest, where every rustle starts feeling loud and personal. 5 years pass with him maintaining sword aura and constant awareness. And now he's dizzy all the time because his senses are basically running a marathon without rest. Worse, he starts noticing sound details too, then wonders if he can even duel properly in this half-broken state, since he's also running out of sects worth fighting. After 30 years of roaming Eunhyeon and challenging every kind of sect, he ends up with nothing left to visit, so he becomes a bounty hunter and starts wiping out bandits like it's his day job. Even while questioning if he can survive against dirty fighters like this, a bandit lookout spots him, and Seo just sighs, because, yep, he chose this path. The bandit boss, Swagger, walks in with a big blade and big mouth, while Seo steadies himself, deciding that even if he dies, he'll keep moving forward anyway. A brutal slash cuts through the moment, and then the story hard jumps 15 years later, basically saying he somehow survived that whole mess. Back in a quiet room, Kim smiles like it's no big deal, and Seo notes it's been 45 years since he regressed, and now he can process not just sight and sound, but even touch, taste, and smell. But the tea sits there like a sad ending, and the old man's face says it straight. After all that growth, it still wasn't enough. He admits he's still stuck even after all these years, and Kim explains he's become famous to G purification cultivators, to the point they set traps for him like he's some wanted criminal. Kim says he barely escaped, but at least scratched one of them, then shuts down the idea of insight saving Seo, warning that if you can't run from a G purification cultivator, you just die. Kim says he's started believing that 5GI returning to Origin might be a martial artist's limit. And hearing that, Seo realizes he's staring at his own reflection in Kim's struggle. Looking into the T's reflection, Seo admits Kim has crazy talent while he himself has nothing, and he wonders why he sees himself in a man who should be his total opposite. He vents about being unable to reach master level despite copying a master's aura and sight. And then, he asks for a duel to see if he can teach anything now. Under a calm night sky, the duel begins. And then, a massive crash shakes the forest like the ground just got jump scared. In the dust, Seo coughs and demands what he's doing wrong, But Kim honestly says he has no idea, because by now, the old man should have hit Master ages ago. Seo spirals, calling it all strange, and Kim finally suggests the most annoying answer ever. Maybe the old man needs a real motive. Kim explains motive as desperation that pushes you beyond your natural limits, and the old man's patience snaps right there. He explodes in rage, shouting that he spent 50 years swinging his sword and doing everything possible, listing his suffering like a long complaint thread nobody asked for. He keeps screaming the same question again and again, demanding why he still can't reach the next stage, like the heavens are supposed to reply with customer service. Crumpling to the ground, he admits it's shameful for a man his age to cry at the sky. But he's chased the next level his whole life and gained nothing from it. Kim watches in silence, then suddenly vanishes in a blur of swishing steps, leaving the old man alone in the ruined, smoky forest. Kim's voice says he created a martial technique to cover what the old man lacked in their duel, and Seo recognizes it as a tiger stance mixed with a mountain leaping step, realizing Kim is leaving again. 5 years later, time keeps bullying them, and Seo says it's been 50 years since regression and his end feels close now. In the courtyard, he calls out to Kim and asks if he's dead, then says it must be their fate because his own talent can only take him so far and even Kim has hit a limit. As he starts to say mortals can't escape what the heavens decided, Kim suddenly crashes in, battered and coughing, and So freaks out, asking what he's been doing. Seeing Kim barely standing, Seo rushes to get medicine, but Kim grabs him and blasts them into the air with a violent boom like he's speedrunning an escape route. The launch repeats in another burst, and mid-air the old man finally notices Kim's condition and panics, thinking Kim's arms should have been cut off by now. From high above the colorful forest, he warns that a ghee purification cultivator is chasing them. But Kim laughs like a maniac because he actually managed to seriously injure that monster. With bloodshot eyes, Kim declares he's seen a level beyond what martial artists can reach, beyond 5GI returning to origin, and Seo can only stare in shock, unable to believe what he's hearing. Kim grins like a total maniac as a huge blue aura ball forms above him, bragging that this is what he learned by betting his life. Seo stares up in shock, realizing that Insane Attack is a materialized aura. While both of them are still mid-air, the swordsman claims this trick is strong enough to break a high-level cultivator's arm, and the glowing sphere rockets downward. The impact hits like a bomb, ripping the building apart into flying wood and rubble. From a distance, Seo watches the dust cloud rise as Kim proudly shows off, acting like he just surpassed the whole era. But the old man's face twists as he realizes the blast took out his home, and his voice cracks. The wreckage collapses in flames, and Seo thinks about all the money and decades he poured into that place. Meanwhile, Kim laughs even harder, saying he crossed the world just to show this and dump his last words on his target. Even with rage boiling up, Seo forces himself to stay calm and study the power, instead of swinging blindly. A wide view confirms it. The whole 3-story building is just gone, like it got erased. As the smoke keeps rolling, Seo notes that if workers were around, it would have been a mass death scene. Looking closer at the ruins, he figures the attack was countless blade-like aura strikes smashed into one shot. Still falling through the sky, Seo admits this is the strongest thing he has seen from the swordsman so far. Kim smiles in relief because he finally reached a power that lets him fight stronger foes head-on. Reality hits as they start dropping fast, and Seo yells that they're falling while Kim flops around like a broken kite. They slam down hard enough to shake the forest, throwing dirt and debris up in a ring. The ground breaks and crumbles, leaving a messy crater and shattered wood all around. In the quiet after the crash, Kim weakly reminds Seo to remember what he taught. Coughing blood, Kim calls it the true essence of his insight and begs the old man to pass it on to the future. Seo kneels beside him and tells him to stop talking and stay alive, because his life is hanging by a thread. Then a new voice drops in from above, standing on a branch and mocking the old master for running to this place. The blue-robed cultivator looks down on them like they're trash, ordering Seo to leave the swordsman behind and get out of the way. Sweating, Seo asks if this guy came to punish Kim and whether he even knows who that man is. With no time to argue, Seo hoists Kim and dashes off down the path. From the tree, the cultivator calls it a meaningless struggle, acting like mortals never learn their place. Cursed energy starts flooding the forest as the cultivator decides to enjoy their last desperate run. Seo, panting under Kim's weight, turns and sees a mob of spell-made zombies swarming out of the purple haze. That nightmare wave keeps coming, and Seo's panic spikes because this isn't just a chase anymore. With a tired curse, Seo sprints while the zombies stampede behind them like a bad horror movie with unlimited extras. Even while running, Seo bitterly jokes about Kim's nickname, Ghost of Martial Limits, because the irony is hitting hard right now. Still huffing, he points out how ridiculous it is that 2 so-called ghosts are getting chased by zombies. As zombies close in, Seo begs Kim to stay conscious and say anything, because passing out now is basically a death flag. One zombie lunges with its hands out, ready to grab and tear. Caught off guard, Seo swings an elbow back and slashes the attacker away, buying a tiny bit of space. Another zombie gets stomped down hard, the old man using pure grit like he's running on fumes and spite. The pack tumbles as several zombies crash together, but the herd keeps pressing forward anyway. While still running, Seo complains that Kim should be the one carrying him, since the swordsman rebuilt his body and got younger again. From above, we see the chase stretching through the forest, with Seo pushing his limits while the zombies never slow down. Time drags on for days and nights, and Seo keeps splashing through mud while the undead lion stays on his tail. By night, the old man is gasping so hard it looks like his lungs are trying to quit on him. Cornered at a cliff edge, he realizes there's nowhere left to run as the zombies climb up behind him. The cultivator floats calmly above the zombie crowd, praising Seo for lasting 3 whole days against his undead. The cultivator points out the obvious. The old master can't run anymore, and he doesn't even have a reason to. Still carrying Kim, Seo gets told the harsh truth that the man on his back is already dead. Seo answers that he already knows, because any decent doctor can tell life from death even without fancy powers. Unimpressed, the cultivator asks why he kept running, saying he only wants the ghost of martial limits and doesn't care about some extra mortal. Seo just laughs through exhaustion, like he's heard the dumbest villain speech in the world. The cultivator's face tightens, offended that a mere mortal would dare laugh at him. With shaking hands, the old master draws his sword and recalls the techniques he trained, admitting he only reached this point because of the swordsman's teachings. He honors the dead man as both a fellow from his world and his martial arts teacher, even as the wind bites at the cliff. Raising the blade, Seo declares that anyone who wants his master's head will have to take his first. Around them, zombie arms snap off and float in the purple aura, while the cultivator mocks mortals for acting brave in front of death. Then he promises to show what a cultivator's cruelty really looks like, as those severed arms hover like weapons. The giant floating hands rush in, reaching out to grab their targets. Seo flinches as something slices through the air past him in a blur. In that split second, he realizes the attack wasn't aimed at him at all, and his eyes widen in horror. Kim's body jerks as the floating force yanks and positions his arms like a puppet. With sickening creaks, the corpse gets forced to move, and Seo freezes as the cultivator watches from behind. The cultivator calls him insolent again, clearly enjoying how personal this is getting. Trembling with rage, Seo spits out an insult, realizing the cultivator is about to make him do the unthinkable. Kim's lifeless body is shoved forward with a sword in hand, and the cultivator orders him to send his own disciple to the graveyard with his own hands. Kim lets out a raw scream, the kind that says his brain is on airplane mode and only rage is left. With no warning, he lunges in with a huge blade swing, but Seo slides in to meet it head-on. Turning his head, the old man calls out the cultivator in the back and says, "Messing with the dead like this is straight-up disrespect." Meanwhile, that cultivator just smiles calmly. Caught in close range, both fighters trade slashes, and Seo realizes this puppet body can't copy real technique, only charge forward with borrowed power. Even so, the brute strength and speed keep stacking up, and the old man's worn body starts falling behind. When the blades lock, Seo grits his teeth because the pressure is nasty, and he knows he can't keep blocking forever. Sweat running down his face, he curses under his breath, forced to admit this is getting out of hand. Tightening his grip, he decides attacking his master's corpse is unforgivable, and that anger hardens into focus. After a quick apology to the dead, he resolves to end it fast, even if it means going too far. Purple aura blooms around him as he enters a special sword stance called Heaven Lake. The scene briefly shifts into a quiet explanation, setting up Heaven Lake as the 21st form of his style. Back in the moment, Seo explains that most stances are named after mountains, so this odd name has meaning. Hearing that, Kim tilts his head, thinking the dead master might know the answer better than anyone. As one guy flops on the grass like he ran out of stamina, the other connects Heaven Lake to Mount Baekdu and asks about it. Smiling, Kim suggests there might be a Heaven Lake here too, or that the technique came from someone from Korea like them. He laughs it off and calls it a maybe, leaving the idea hanging in the sky like a teaser for later. A bright vision of a giant sky-reflecting lake appears, showing what Heaven Lake is meant to look like in the mind. Back to the battlefield, Seo explains, Heaven Lake reflects everything but never changes, and he frames the heavens as his opponents. Facing the roaring puppet again, he says the lake is his single sword strike, then braces as the enemy closes. Kim gets blasted back like it hit an invisible wall, the impact snapping the air with a heavy boom. Crouched low, Seo explains this stance pulls the enemy's flowing power into his own sword aura, then throws them away while keeping the energy. With a grim look, he adds, he can only do this because he knows the body's energy paths like a doctor, making the technique basically made for him alone. Seeing the cultivator can reuse an intact body as a zombie, he decides he can't leave even a tiny chance for that to happen. He twists the hilt as energy flares, planning to unleash many forms at once using the power he absorbed. Launching forward, he starts with the first stance, leaping over the peaks, his blade leaving a blue trail. The arc of slashes instantly hits Kim. In a wild combo, he stacks multiple stances and turns the ground into a wrecked crater. Kim screams in pain, roaring as the blades leave his body with numerous cuts. Seo is determined to shred the body so the cultivator can't puppet it again. The old swordsman realizes the cultivator boosted it again, and for a second he thinks about running because this is insane. From above, the cultivator finally snaps and screams in rage, pointing like a guy who just got ratioed in public. Kim suddenly swells into a monstrous, muscle-packed form and roars, becoming a full-on meat titan charging the old man. But then Seo catches himself, thinking his life is nearly over anyway. So what's the point of playing safe now? Looking at Kim, who has now turned into a huge zombie, he can think but be enraged. With his foot grinding into the rock, he decides to pour the rest of his life into one final effort. He rockets upward under massive pressure while the giant reaches for him, and the old man swears he won't let his master be dishonored again. Gritting through the pain, he refuses to stop and pushes for just a little more power. Blood on his mouth, he hyper-focuses on every detail around him, like his senses are turning up to max even as his body breaks. His mind feels like it's about to burst, but he keeps forcing it, gambling everything on one breakthrough. Eyes glowing with a scary grin, he shouts for more and drives past his limit, looking like he's one step from becoming the real villain. Something inside him cracks, like a mental barrier finally shattering under the pressure. His eyes widen as he realizes that the pain from a moment ago has flipped into a strange new clarity. Charging through a dark, warped space, he wonders if he's imagining it, but he can feel his mind breaking through to a new state. With sudden shock, he senses what's coming, as if he can see the next moves before they happen. Red lines trace through the air from the monster's fingers, and Seo reads them like deadly threads showing the attack path. The giant crashes down, and the cultivator's body appears in the chaos, but the old man slips in close instead of backing off. Raising his sword, he steadies the blue edge, calm for the first time in this whole mess. The blade glides forward in a clean motion, a quiet cut that feels too simple for how dangerous it is. The slash lands across the monster's massive body, blood spraying as Seo passes through like a shadow. His eye tightens with disbelief, realizing he's witnessing the kind of movement only a true master-level fighter can pull off. Looking up, Kim's face twists into a strange smile, like the dead master is showing through for a second. The narration turns poetic, saying they were both shaped by fate, gifted and rejected by the heavens in different ways. As Seo resets his stance, the battlefield hangs under the moon, and it feels like two mirrors facing each other in the dark. Another brutal slash tears through the giant silhouette, cutting deeper as the fight reaches its final beat. Coughing blood, Seo says there are no geniuses or failures here, only people who struggle, die, and those who continue after them. Then a ghostly image of Kim smiling overlaps the scene, and the question hangs in the air like a taunt. A soft step lands as the old man answers the challenge, refusing to be done yet. He drops the 15th stance, Heart of the Mountains, slamming down with a thunder crash that blasts the ground apart. Dust and rubble swirl, and Seo thinks this might finally be the end. Off to the side, the cultivator screams again, losing his calm mask and showing pure panic and anger, still shouting like he can yell his way out of defeat. In the aftermath, Seo's body is thrown back, but he knows the cultivator can no longer defile his master's body. At the very end, he smiles gently, looking satisfied, like he finally kept the promise he couldn't keep before. As his vision blurs, this moment ends the long chase and begins Seo's fourth regression. Seo's eye snaps open and he realizes something is off. Lying on the grass, he checks his own hand and legs like he just woke up from the worst nap ever. And he admits he's back again after a rough last life. Clenching his fist, he steadies himself and decides this time he actually finished the long struggle instead of getting clapped at the end. With his hair whipping around, Seo yells in pure joy, claiming he finally hit master level, the stage he pursued his whole life. Finally, his fourth cycle starts.